The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg, and as always, I am joined with my amazing co-host, Jacqueline Ray Smith. We are here, as usual, to give you tools, tips, and a system to increase your energy and reduce your stress following our friend Ben Kinney's 15-Point Plan that we have taken over the last, 4 or 5 years, Jacqueline, with our friends Jacqueline and Chad Hyams, and we've taken it over the last year or two. And it's always so good to talk about this. It's always so good to have a system that we can have more energy from. It gives me more energy talking about it. It's a form of service doing this podcast, so I get that point checked off. And Jacqueline, I always learn a little bit from you too as well. So thank you for being on this journey with me and for doing this crazy 75 hard, because you're inspiring me and so many other people by doing this.
Oh my gosh. Well, you always have inspired me with your health journey. And so, yeah, it's really fun to do this podcast, and when I look at how it's impacted me over the years, like just using the 15-point plan, it did kind of lead into 75 hard, which this is our third time doing it. My husband and I are doing it together. And I think that for a lot of people, I coach a lot of people in real estate, as do you, things aren't usually a struggle due to lack of knowledge, like especially in this day and age. Like there's just so much information out there. No one can say like, I don't know what to do, unless they're like brand new to something, right?
Yeah.
And so when I see people struggling in business or in different ways in their life, I mean, a lot of times it comes down to their daily habits just aren't supporting their pursuits. And that's why I love the 15-point plan, because we have all these systems, whether it's in business, you have your systems. I know as a parent, you have your systems, because a system is just a way of doing something that you repeatedly do. And so you have a way that you get your kids off to school. You have a system for that. You have a system for bedtime. But yet I just found that there weren't very many systems for just overall energy and stress management, which impact your ability to achieve the things in your life that you want to achieve. And what I saw when I got into business was a lot of successful people, but either their health was falling apart or their marriage was falling apart. And it almost led to this culture of feeling like we have to choose between being a high performer in business and our personal relationships, health, and well-being. And I just don't accept that. I think that, you can be successful in business and you can have successful personal relationships and you can have great health. And I think those things don't have to be sacrificed one for the other. And so the 15-point plan has been the one thing that I think, it's not a diet. It's not even 75 hard. Like that is not necessarily sustainable. It's an extra over the top challenge, but the 15-point plan is customizable, and it really is a system for energy management and self-care. And I think that helps people increase their capacity as leaders, as wives, husbands, spouses, parents, and everything else. So I love this stuff. And obviously we wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't, but it's
That's
powerful.
right. It is. It's super powerful, and it simply gives us a system to follow along. And as you mentioned all that, I wrote a bunch of notes. It's like, how do we define success? And, we're both in the real estate business, and many of our listeners are either in the real estate business or entrepreneurs or business people of one form or another. And there's this huge stigma around, well, success means you're a hustler. Success means you work hard and you hustle hard, and that whole hustle culture, which I think is kind of phasing out a little bit. What I've found and what I've experienced personally is that often leads to burnout. And when we burn out and we're quote unquote successful in our real estate business or in our business, whatever that may be, are we successful at home? Are we successful with the people that we love? And I love that quote. When we go home at the end of the day, do the people that we love get the rest of us, or do they get the best of us? And I think the successful people in this world, their business partners get the best of them, but then their family, more importantly, when they go home, get the best of them. And success for me is having energy in all areas of my life.
Yes. I
And
think
that's what the
too.
system will do, right?
Yeah. And I think that, and you might agree, Ryan, like, yes, there was like this hustle culture that was very popular. And then people started to reject that hustle culture. And then what I've seen happen is the pendulum has swung the complete opposite way,
Yeah.
where there's, especially going into the new year, I was really tuned into this for some reason. It was kind of jumping out at me just how many posts there were about, like, take it easy, do what feels good. Now there's this pendulum the other way where it's like there's no hustle and it's just like slow mornings, long walks. And it's like, I don't want to go after big things. I want to focus on the little things that matter. And it's like, oh my gosh, now we've just chosen the complete opposite, where it's like, okay, so we're going to forfeit these dreams and goals and almost demonize these big things that we wanted to achieve at one point, because we feel and we haven't been able to figure out how to do both. And so now we're just like in the opposite extreme. And I want to be in the middle. I want to be an advocate for, hey, those little things do matter, but I'm not going to stop going after big things.
That's right.
I want to have great health, but I don't want to limit myself in business because I feel like I can't manage both. I don't want to limit my business because marriage, like, I want my marriage to be full and life-giving, and I want my health to be on track. And I just don't succumb to that idea that you have to choose one or the other, sacrifice them. I just don't.
I agree 100%, Jacqueline. And when you look at nature, for example, and pick any of your most beautiful flowers, no flower blooms year round. Any type of flower, a rose, for example, right now, if you go see a rose out there, it is in the snow. It is in the hardest part of its life, right? And then shortly here, that flower, that rose is going to start to bud, and those buds are going to start to come out, and it's going to give you the most delicate, soft, beautiful flower that you could imagine. And we as humans should be able to go through both of those things as well. You can't just go hard all the time, and you can't just go, and you said that in the perfect voice, by the way, you can't just soften up all the time. You've got your 75 hard in this season. I've been in my David Goggins stay hard season for many years, but right now I'm in a season of 75 soft, of poetry, of Tai Chi. By the way, I thought I was making major progress in my Tai Chi, Jacqueline. I've been doing it for 7-8 months now, and I absolutely love it, and I do it every single morning. And last week on my call with my Tai Chi teacher, Hakim Tafara, he says, Ryan, we're just getting started. I need you to do all these things. And he listed off all these things, and he gave me another book to read. And he said, next week we're going to meet again, and then we're going to start doing Tai Chi. And I'm like, then we're going to start. I thought I've been doing it this whole time. He said, you've just been getting ready. You've just been preparing your body to actually start to be able to flow into Tai Chi. And I thought that was just so cool. So just like nature, just like cycles of life, we should learn that there is a soft time and a hard time. And the more we can embrace that, then we can really hit those big goals, those big dreams, and give ourselves permission to do that and have some grace with ourselves when we're in the softer seasons.
Yeah, I think that too, one concept that we hear about a lot is like create a life that you don't need a vacation from. And so the other piece of that is like, we can't constantly be swinging this pendulum back and forth. So don't hear, Ryan talking about the rose and these different seasons as like, again, I don't think you have to go constantly from one extreme to the next. I think there's a way to find the harmony and find the middle ground where if you have the right daily habits, you're not relying on the vacations, because when you go on vacation, well, what do you come back to? You come back to
Right.
the same stressors, the same problems, the same inadequate daily habits to support the life you're trying to build. You come back to the same burnout
Hmm.
because those are the things that are leading you to burnout. So we have to get away from this all or nothing pendulum swinging back and forth thinking and figure out what are the daily habits that my goals, my life that I want to build, not just business life, but my whole life. What are the habits that are required to do that? And one of the things that we use a lot in our organization is called the daily success plan. And it's interesting because there's this idea of, well, if I want to achieve more, I want to do more. Well, Jacqueline's telling me that I should be able to be healthy, have good relationships, and do business, at a high level. Well, I just have to work harder. And then now we're back into that hustle. But in fact, actually achieving more oftentimes is deleting,
Hmm.
is removing certain things, is saying no, is slowing down to plan and review and analyze, what's working, what's not, make adjustments. And I think sometimes with that hustle and with trying to just work harder through everything to accomplish everything that we need to accomplish, we can actually omit the
Hmm.
very things that will cause us to be able to do it all. So I was hoping we could talk a little bit about that daily plan. And there's a lot of elements of 15-point plan woven in there. And the first one is visualize.
Yeah.
Visualize what you want to accomplish tomorrow. A lot of us, we are just kind of on autopilot. And it's like, well, if I'm stressed out a lot, I'm probably just assuming that, okay, well, tomorrow's going to be another stressful day. Like, I'm going to have my kids, I'm going to have this, and I'm going to have that, and I'm going to, right? Do we take the time to actually visualize what we actually do want?
Right. Right. And our last episode, we talked about sleep and some of the things that get in the way of our sleep and some of the things that make it challenging for us to get out of bed in the morning and maybe hit that snooze button more than we want to. I know for me, Jacqueline, and I'd be curious if you feel the same way, when I go to bed and I follow this daily plan and I visualize what I want for the next day, and I think about that and I think about the things that will come from that, well, then I wake up and I go, hey, I'm excited to go get that. So that's one thing that will get me out of bed the next day is simply taking a moment before I go to bed, following that daily plan, visualizing what success looks like for me the next day and what I'm excited about for the next day. And if that's my last thought when I fall asleep, it's probably going to be my first thought when I wake up. And it's going to help me get out of bed because I'm excited to go get that thing I visualized and thought about.
So good. So true. The second part of the daily plan is reviewing your calendar. I can't tell you how impactful operating from a calendar has been in my life. I mean, it takes so much. I don't remember, what I'm doing a couple hours from now. I don't have to think about that and hold it all in my brain. I have my calendar. Taking time to review it to make sure that is what I have on my calendar tomorrow actually realistic and in alignment with the life that I was just visualizing for myself.
Right. Right.
Like if,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you say, hey, in your visualization, you have time with your son Bentley
Yep.
tomorrow, and you
Yep.
see yourself going for a walk with Bentley. Well, now you're reviewing your calendar. Is a walk with Bentley on your calendar?
Right. Right. Exactly. And when I look at that calendar, guess what that's going to do? It's going to lower my stress level because I'm not going to wake up that morning and go, oh, shoot, what did I have to do today? Oh, shoot, I've got that appointment. Oh,
Yep.
shoot, all these things. But instead, we can look at the calendar and we know exactly what that next day looks like. We might even take a couple of things off there. We might make sure that those most important things are on there. That walk with Bentley, your walk with Phil. And then we're like excited to get into the day because let me get these things done that I need to get done so that I can get to the things I want to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay,
What's number three?
third thing is make a list of your priorities and put them in order. So a lot of people have to-do lists, but very few people have a priority list. A priority list is different than a to-do list because a to-do list is like just a bunch of stuff that I got to make sure I get done in the day. A priority list is I'm not going to do number 2 until my number one priority is completed, because number one means it's number one. And if it's a number one priority, you got to get it done before the next one. And so you can actually put the priority things in order versus a to-do list, where we tend to just kind of like go to the easiest things, and we're training our brain to get the easy things done first because it feels good and it gives us a dopamine hit. But when we do the priority thing, those little to-do things, they kind of fit in. We always fit those in because they're easy. We can finish the day with the easy things, start the day with the harder things. Like for me, it's a priority to get my workout in.
Right.
So if I say that is my priority to get my workout in, then I should never be driving to the office without having done a workout.
That's right. And when we know those priorities, we know those are our needle moving activities. Those are the things that get us one step closer to success, which is one step closer to those dreams that we visualized at the same time.
Absolutely. Next is plan your rituals. So this is where you plan, do I have my water with me? If you're a realtor, like you need some water, maybe a case of water in your car, right? So you're not finding yourself just like with no water, dehydrated. Food, snacks, breaks. When are you going to do your breaks? When you looked at your calendar, do you have time in there for breaks? What about learning, right? That's one of our 15 points. Movement, another one of our 15 points. Are these things in there? And do you have a plan for them for the next day? That alone is huge, because we say we want to do all these things. We say we want to take care of ourselves, but we don't plan it. We don't actually take time to make sure that we have food and water, these basic things. And we're probably going to be less likely to do them.
No, absolutely. And, a ritual for me is every morning my journaling. And one of the things that will get in the way of my journaling is when I sit down to do some breathing and some meditation, and then I can't find my dang pen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shoot, now I have to get up. I have to break out of this space just to go find a pen. So one of my planning of my rituals the night before is my space organized the next morning? Is my journal there? Is the pen in the journal? So that I don't have to break that or maybe even miss it because, I didn't plan for that. And I took my journal downstairs and I left the pen somewhere else. And now I have to change that up.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's my reading glasses. Make sure you have your breaks figured out too, because like Ryan said earlier, when you go home at the end of the day, is your family getting the best of you or the rest of you? I know I find if I power through my day and I'm too overscheduled and I have no breaks, they are definitely not getting the best of me when I get home, because I'm like, rawr, no time to decompress, no time to like breathe and take a beat. So I want to beat them, not literally.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. And, if this business and any business as an entrepreneur, you're going to take phone calls, you're going to check emails. So I love it when I can, sometimes I'll just park down the street from my house and I'll check my email and I'll take that last phone call and I'll check my voicemail real quick so that I can close that circle, so that I can go home and I can give the best to the people that I love and not walk in the door and then say, hey, everybody. No, how's it going? How's your day? And then I'm like checking a voicemail or checking my email. So close that work circle before you go into your house.
Yeah. So the last part of the 15-point plan is just, once you create your plan, to actually commit to the plan and repeat it out loud. So you're verbally committing. And then you get to, Ryan, sleep well, knowing that you have a plan. Then the next morning, you start your day, you review your plan, review your priorities and your rituals, you begin following it. And at the end of your day, you're going to review what went well, what needs improvement, and create your plan for the next day. So this could actually be a sleep aid. If the reason why, on the last episode we talked about sleep, if the reason why you're struggling with sleep is that you are stressed out and you have too much on your plate and you don't have a plan for your days and you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off all the time, this could actually be the root for you, if it's stress management, that will help you, right, get a better night's sleep because you have a plan for tomorrow and you can sleep easy knowing that.
That's right. Such a good system. And again, the 15-point plan is simply just a system, right? Systems make the ordinary extraordinary. And let's be real, we all want to be a little more extraordinary because we all deserve that, Jacqueline. We all have that within us and we all deserve the best for ourselves, for our friends, for our families. So, as always, you can get more information on this and all of our other podcasts at winmakegive.com. If you ever have any questions, you want to reach out to us directly. We love hearing from our listeners. You can follow us on Facebook, 15-Point Plan Group for Life. You can also direct message Jacqueline or myself on social media like Instagram, Jacqueline Ray Smith and Ryan Park Greigg.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you on the next episode.
Bye, everyone.